While anti-racism protests continue across the U.S. and around the world, Canadians are also having conversations about racism in this country and the path forward. Desmond Cole is an advocate and journalist and the author of The Skin We're In, and we're fortunate that he joins us now. Good morning, Desmond.
Good morning, Ben.
So you've been writing for years about racism and police violence in Canada. You've been on this show and others talking about it, watching the protests over the past week in the U.S. and in Canada. Does anything feel different to you?
No. I mean, it's different that these are happening in this time. Obviously, every moment is different, and the responses to the death of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Regis Korchinski-Paquette in this country, obviously those things are new. But I'm resisting this idea that there's some kind of new moment going on in either Canada or the United States. Black people have literally been saying the same thing for generations, and it feels like the desperation to be heard before, we're completely unable to live in this society. The desperation is what's changing, but nothing that we're saying is new.
Well, part of the conversation happening here, and this is something you've talked about, is the idea of defunding police, that high budgeting for law enforcement helps create problems when the money could be better spent and spent differently to help solve issues with inequity. We had Toronto Mayor John Tory on the show yesterday. This is what he had to say about that.
That is that I think the notion of defunding the police, most people would understand, is not realistic. I mean, you'd love to think we could do without a police service in any big city, but it's...
Okay, so what do you feel defunding police could look like? What are the alternatives that you feel could help?
So let's give an example. When somebody is in crisis, perhaps they're in mental health crisis, what we do now is we say, let's send several burly men with guns who have a license to kill to go and support somebody who may be in mental health crisis. We don't care about the fact that maybe that person might be terrified of an armed response to their house. We don't care that in the case of DeAndre Campbell in Brampton, he called for help and the police came into his home when he was having a mental health crisis and shot him dead. We keep insisting that there's no other way. But obviously, somebody who's trained in de-escalation, somebody who's trained to talk to people, someone who doesn't have a weapon, someone who can offer services and support, that person is obviously a better person to come and respond. But the reason that we keep sending police is that we're afraid of particularly Black people, poor people, Indigenous people. So we say, even if you're in crisis, we're going to send an armed response that has the right to kill you. John Tory is presiding over all of this racism, and he says it's not realistic. I suppose it's realistic to John Tory that we keep dying. That's what the problem is that he can't imagine a future where we're not dying like this. And so he's not willing to stand up to the police, which is supposed to be his job.
I wish I could spend an hour talking to you just about this subject, but we have to move on. Let's talk about major brands like Nike, Ben & Jerry's, Amazon, Spotify, Microsoft. They've all posted statements in solidarity with the Black community. Statements are one thing, but what would you like to see corporations actually do?
I would like to see corporate power disbanded in the same way that I believe that police power should be disbanded. Ben, we're living in a crisis right now where people are dying of a communicable disease that we had never seen before this year. And corporations are still forcing people to go to work for minimum wage. Black people are disproportionately dying of COVID, working for these corporations instead of staying home and being paid by these corporations that have billions of dollars. I don't need to tell you that that's lip service. We all know that it's lip service. No one's asking corporations to lead the way. Corporations have too much power, just like the police do. They are a huge part of this problem, if not the main source of this problem, because all of this labor that poor people are doing is to serve these corporations while we die and get sick.
Desmond Cole, it's always great to talk to you. I hope you come back soon.
I will. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.